G'day watchers, welcome to Perth WAtch, your horology channel broadcasting from right here in Perth, Western Australia. Today I have the next piece, the latest piece from FullGear Watches. And now I've featured a couple of these before. They claim to fame is a full customization, so check out their other pieces if you wish, in terms including their modules for customization on their website. It's really quite interesting and fairly unique, I think. Customizable because also of their Tritium gas tube Lume, the only one I think in the world currently. So this is the packaging, which is pretty cool, kind of like wood look, or maybe real wood, but I think it's just wood look. And in terms of spinability, this is at least a 4 out of 5, very smooth on my table here. All right, it just lifts up, nice solid feel, and then you get this thing that says "Born to Hunt." A bit of information there. You can take a look if you wish, pause it or whatever. It's really just basic information, which I think most of you probably don't need to refer to. So showing you guys the watch in closer detail, this is the Orca Automatic. This is in the coal color variation. Now, of course, with the full customization options, you can actually choose the dial color, lume color, the bezel insert, whatever. There are lots of stuff you can choose right now. But, when they launched this pre-order, they had these kind of colorways, and this was the one that kind of called out to me. So I went for this one, this kind of gray motif here. The full MSRP for this version with the bracelet, $449 USD. I suspect that sometimes it might go on sale or special. Let me know if you see it, but the discussion here will be around the $450 USD mark. Right, first up, as I always do, discussion about the movement. This is, pleasingly, it's the 9015, which, a lot of you will know about. Quick set date, in this case, they've actually changed out the wheel. Pleasingly, it is a 6 o'clock date position. Black writing on white disc, as you can see on the picture here. Rated accuracy as stated on the left. In actual use, it's very good. I think it's running bang on a very desirable plus 5 seconds per day, which I very much can live with very easily. Okay, moving on to the case then. So dimensions wise, 40mm the diameter, particularly at the bezel. I think the case, it's pretty much the same. The actual lug ends probably sit in a little bit, but 40mm is what we're talking about. The thickness is quite a pleasingly relatively thin 12.5mm, 20mm lugs with a lug-to-lug distance of 49mm between my thumbnails there. Overall weight with a few links removed is 140 grams. So, yes, you will feel this, but as far as dive watch on steel bracelets goes, it's not too heavy at all. Finishing wise, longitudinal brushing on the top surface of the case, long brushing on the sides, and you can see one thing I'll mention is there's a bit of a ridge in the case there. Hopefully you can appreciate that. So that's nice. It's not just a simple off-the-shelf case. There's a bit of a ridging here. So there's some design and custom, machining that has gone into this particular case. There's a polished top bevel. Hopefully you can see that on the lug there. Circular brushing on the bottom, as well as most of that case back. And that case back, of course, has that killer whale motif, that stamping there. So pretty cool. There's a bit of a killer whale art there that you can see. It's a screw down case back with a screw down sign crown with a dive watch capable rating of 200 meters. That's really what you expect with a dive watch style like this. Some will go for 300, but 200 is perfectly fine for the vast majority of human beings, I would think. Okay, dial. So moving on to this dial, which is one of the highlights, I suppose, of this watch. It's a mother of pearl dial. This one has been colored this, I guess, coal, they said, but it's really a bit of a gray-green here, as I see it in my lighting. It's got an embossed logo, but the rest of the dial details on the mother of pearl is printed. It's got tritium gas tubes mounted on a circular chapter ring. Now that chapter ring has a slight teeth motif, I guess, that plays into the Orca name of this particular watch. There is a bit of a splash of color on this dial, meaning the seconds hand, the Orca name on the dial, as well as a couple of segments on the chapter ring there between 2 and 4 o'clock and 8 and 10 o'clock. There's a bit of a splash of color there. I don't know why that is. There's a bit more divisions on the chapter ring in that location as well. If you know why that is done, apart from decoration, let me know if there's any meaning. I don't think, there's nothing I know of that would make you want to make those particular segments highlighted. Apart from just, giving a bit of splash of color on the dial, which is appreciated. Moving on to the hands then. So what we have here is polished, partially skeletonized sword style main hands. There is an arrow counterbalance on the second hand, and it's got dual T3 tubes on the main hands and full lume on the bezel. Now the bezel lume, I don't know what it is. I presume it's some sort of super luminova, but I'll give you a lume shot for you guys to see the multi-colors of this particular lume signature. Now in the customization options, you can actually select the T3 tube colors in many of these positions. Right, moving on then. So surrounding the dial is a 120 click unidirectional dive style bezel. You kind of saw me turn it earlier, so I'm not going to turn it again. So it's really unidirectional, very, very minimal black play, and pretty solid feeling. It's got what they call a crystal insert. I don't really know what it is, whether it's glass or sapphire. They haven't actually stipulated, so that's a bit confusing actually why they haven't, but anyway, it's kind of this kind of glass crystal type insert that you can see there, and it's got a jewel color motif on that bezel there. The crystal on top of the dial is a lightly domed sapphire with what they say double anti-reflective coating. I'm not sure how good that really is. Obviously you can still see reflections on that crystal there. Moving on to the bracelet then. So this is a brush finish on the sides here, polish in the middle where that 5 rows of beads of rices are, right? Beads of rice bracelet. Solid end links, of course. It's got push pin adjustment, which hopefully you can appreciate there. There's no screws for this link. The bracelet tapers to 18 millimeters, and then you have this, I think mainly pressed metal clasp, which is 20 millimeters wide. It's got a push button release, relatively solid hands, and or I should say deploying arms, and 3-point micro adjusts with a fairly OEM looking clasps here, and it doesn't even have branding, which is a bit of a minus. Almost even Chinese watches under $100, they usually have a brand there. This one does not. Okay, so that's the entire description. Let's snap it on quickly on my wrists for a wrist shot for you guys. And there we have it, guys. This is the FullGear Orca automatic. So remember, it's only 12.5 millimeter stick, which is really quite pleasing. 49 millimeter lug-to-lug distance. So that's how it looks on my 17 centimeter wrist. And that's that beads of rice there, which is pretty good. The look of it is pretty good, even though it looks like they ran out of budget at the bottom here. Okay, so what are the strengths about this watch? What have I enjoyed? Look, I think overall it really is quite a fair value package, because you're getting the gaseous tritium light source GTLS tubes here. You're getting a mother of pearl dial, which of course is going to be unique for every watch. A sapphire crystal, a crystal bezel, whatever that is. A Miyota 9000, solid beads of rice, bracelet, which is pretty nicely finished, and a 200 meter dive style watch. That's everything you're getting for this price, along with the full customization options that you have that is unique to FullGear. All right, you're getting all that. It's actually fair finish on the case, fairly good finish. The ridge sides add a bit of contrast, a bit of difference to everything else, right? Not just a typical slab side, so that's a positive. And it's got an interesting mother of pearl concept, right? And the teeth style chapter ring. I guess those are two things that play into the killer whale motif. Otherwise, apart from that, it is actually just another dive watch style design with, of course, that customization that we talked about. Any weaknesses? What are the weaknesses? Well, despite the fact that it's overall a solid offering, especially with the tritium and the mother of pearl, it doesn't really hit anything out of the park. I think none of these features are completely unique, completely excellent and awesome. Yes, they do have the customizable tritium gas loop colors, apparently still the only one on market. But apart from that, is there anything special here? Probably you've seen a lot of these elements before. Now, it feels like, as I mentioned, they had to cut budget down the bottom here, right? The beads of rice, yes, it's all right, but it looks OEM, and particularly the clasps definitely looks off-the-shelf OEM there, especially since they even, missed out the branding on the clasps here. So $450 for this package. Probably considered slightly steep for many. Let me know what you think. I think there is an argument that this is reasonable because of everything it offers, particularly custom options. But some people would probably expect that this should be closer to 400 or less. Would look forward to your comments below as always. So guys, thank you again for joining me on this review of this FullGear Orca automatic. If you like my videos, do consider subscribing. As always, I'll catch you guys next time.